Coming up, college funding. President Obama promises millions of dollars to historically black colleges. Find out which local universities will get a big payday and which won't.
Then, going green? As if running your own business wasn't hard enough. Now the mayor wants to crack down on recycling. We've got the full report. District Wire News starts now.
Hello, and thanks for joining us. I'm Zuleqa Husain.
And I'm Philippa Levenberg. President Obama plans to give nearly $100 million to black colleges in 2011. But one local university is having mixed reactions to the federal effort. Gabrielle Jones has more.
Howard University is among the black colleges that will benefit from President Obama's newest initiative. The university community is excited that black colleges are on the national agenda.
Funding to African American students is important because they don't have it at home. So if you can fund it and help them further education, we'll have more black leaders.
But one Howard University professor is concerned how smaller black colleges will get their piece of the pie.
Again, I'm happy to see it. I'd like to make sure it's balanced to ensure that the smaller, less well-known HBCUs get a greater slice of the pie, because there are too many HBCUs who are not obtaining any money whatsoever.
In addition to the money in 2011, President Obama is committing to give $850 million to black colleges in the next decade. How that money will be divided remains to be determined. In Northwest Washington, Gabrielle Jones, District Wire News.
Do DC schools need a code of conduct? That's what education officials are debating. The code would look at practices for suspending and expelling students. There is currently no overarching discipline policy in place for traditional and charter public schools. Officials hope that this move will ensure more stringent standards in the DC school system. And a high school in Northwest DC gets honored, but not everyone is happy about it. The DC Historic Preservation Board voted last week to name Woodrow Wilson Senior High School in Tenleytown a historic landmark. The vote comes after school officials and neighborhood groups tried to hold up the designation. They say this will make it harder to make many upgrades the school needs.
DC Councilman Marion Barry is in the hot seat today. The DC Council is set to vote on whether to censure the former mayor, an action that would remove him as a committee chairman. The council is also debating whether or not to refer corruption allegations against Barry to the U.S. Attorney's Office. Barry is being accused of misusing public funds by securing a $15,000 contract for a former girlfriend. The council is likely to approve Michael A. Brown to take Barry's place as committee chairman of Housing and Workforce Development.
And same-sex couples in DC are getting ready to tie the knot. The Supreme Court grant marriage licenses for gay couples in DC for the first time tomorrow. Court officials are expecting a big turnout. Protesters are also expected to show up, attempting to stop gay marriage in the district from becoming a reality. The marriage licenses will be available for collection on Tuesday next week, and the state of Maryland may not be far behind. Last week, Maryland Attorney General Douglas Gansler ruled that the state will recognize out-of-state gay marriages, but this does not mean Maryland will recognize same-sex marriages.
They call it the catch-22 of hiring practices. Employers are checking up on the credit scores of potential employees. If the job hunters aren't hired, their credit scores may only get worse. Evan Banks has more.
Putting food on the table in this economy is no easy task. Some job seekers are running into trouble with employers holding their credit histories against them. By law, potential employees must consent to a credit check, but they may feel that they are unable to refuse in their position. What's more, checking a potential employee's credit rating is a practice that is becoming more common. According to a study from the Society of Human Resources Management, 60% of employers run credit checks on applicants, up from 42% 3 years ago. 16 states, including Maryland, are considering legislation that would outlaw the checks. Here's what some American university students have to say about the credit checks.
I think employers should be able to, hire or fire based on credit score.
I can understand how it would definitely affect your decision, but I think there's a lot of things that should come into play before that. I don't think it should be a top priority.
The credit score is a factor of the evolution of how you handle your finances and essentially how you handle your daily life.
From Washington, I'm Evan Banks, District Wire News.
A new proposed tax in Maryland would help clean up the Chesapeake Bay. Residents would have to pay a stormwater fee to clean up runoff. Some politicians are against it, but they don't want to increase taxes during a recession. But former Maryland State Senator Gerald Weingard is supporting the tax. In a recent public poll by OpinionWorks, half of those asked said they'd be willing to pay a reasonable monthly fee to clean up the Chesapeake. Stricter recycling rules may be on their way for D.C. Mayor Fenty wants to quadruple fines for commercial properties that don't separate cardboard and plastic. Brianna Pellicane has more on what this means for D.C. businesses.
The mayor's proposal requires all of D.C. to separate cardboard and plastic from its trash. Some homeowners and businesses already do this. Here at AU, the rule is unlikely to have an effect.
We're going above and beyond the legal requirements. We already recycle cardboard, paper, and beverage containers.
And if homeowners don't follow the rules, their fees wouldn't change. They'll stay around $25. But it's a different story for businesses.
Money that DC needs, it's just they're trying to find ways to get more money. And I think there's plenty of other ways to do that.
The proposal quadruples fines for commercial properties that don't recycle the right way. A first offense would mean $200. A third offense in 2 months would mean $1,500.
Just to penalize them is just the wrong method. I think you need to give incentives.
Commercial properties make 70% of DC's trash. The Fenty administration argues a building's size shouldn't keep it from following the law.
We're supposed to be recycling the proper way now. So just making sure that we recycle the proper way is good for the city.
Mayor Fenty opens the proposal for public comments on Friday. In Tenleytown, I'm Brianna Pellicane for District Wire News.
Coming up, should a hospital fire a nurse for failing to make it to work in a blizzard? A Washington, D.C. hospital thinks so. We'll tell you why and what the nurses' unions think about that.
And we'll take you to an apartment complex in D.C. where residents are trying to stay out of the cold. More on that story after the break.